Okay, we still have some people still joining, but we have to get started because I want to make sure that we're timely today. So anyway, thank you guys for joining. Appreciate y'all coming on and sharing your stories. So I ended up actually, maybe I'll just share briefly how I know Freshta and Brad. I met Brad about how many years ago now? Maybe six,
Yeah,
seven, 7 years, 6 or 7 years ago.
yeah.
And I heard about him in Oklahoma City. I just moved there from Malaysia. People thought I was like a CIA agent or something because they didn't understand why I would move to Oklahoma City from Malaysia. And I wanted to actually work with refugees. And Brad came highly recommended. And I remember walking into your office that day. And I don't know. I know my life has completely changed since that day. So Brad's done a lot of things. I've watched him grow a lot over the years and help. I don't know how many people you've helped, Brad. Thousands, tens of thousands, maybe millions. I don't know. Feels like Brad knows everybody and helps everyone he meets. So without further ado, I'm gonna read Brad's official bio. And Brad is the co-founder of the Spero Project, a US-based NGO that helps resettled refugees build a sense of belonging by connecting them with people, resources, and learning opportunities. With over 25,000 hours of cross-cultural dialogue, he has developed deep relationships with resettled refugees, learning the value of faith, family, and community. Brad's humanitarian work spans Southeast Asia, Central America, the Balkans, East Africa, where he gained insights into the challenges of displacement and resettlement. So thank you, Brad, for joining us. And we are also here with Freshta Ibrahimi, which I'm going to not pronounce your name right, but you're going to teach me how to say it the correct way. And we were introduced recently by my friend Hassan Kassam, which I'm actually currently in his house right now in Dubai. He's actually in the background, but he's leaving. You want to say hi, Hassan? Really quick. He's actually getting on a flight to go to Thailand. So he's going to log in, but I know you because of this guy right here. I didn't get in because I'm using one of those weird.
Hey,
This is
Freshta. I'm
so
gonna like log in from the car. I'm just going to reply.
So when he told me that you wanted to be the first Afghan woman to climb Mount Everest, I was deeply moved by that, and inspired. And then, being a woman that's gone through a lot of things in my life, I also can't imagine the things that you've had to deal with, because I know I deal with a lot of crap on a daily basis as a woman, but being an Afghan woman and also being an athlete when it was actually illegal at the time to be a mountaineer in your country, right? So she created this project called the Unstoppable Project, which we are supporting as the Vine. So I'm going to read a little bit about her right now. So Freshta Ibrahimi is an Afghan mountaineer and refugee currently living in the UK, as well as the inspiring leader of the Unstoppable Project. This initiative empowers refugees and asylum seekers, particularly women, through outdoor adventures, fostering healing, connection, and resilience in nature. Freshta began her mountaineering journey in Afghanistan, where she managed the first group of Afghan women mountaineers for 4 years. She has climbed across various regions in Afghanistan and recently expanded her achievements by summiting 6,000-meter peaks in Nepal, hiking to Everest Base Camp, and training in the Alps. 2025, Freshta is set to undertake a historic climb to be the first Afghan woman refugee to summit Mount Everest. Her journey symbolizes hope, resilience, and empowerment for refugees worldwide while showcasing the strength and determination of women through the Unstoppable Project. So, welcome to you both. And which one of you would like to go first?
I think we'll go first. That's okay.
Absolutely. I'm going to make you the host, Brad. So I think it
Okay.
would be easier, but please go ahead and share as you wish.
Excellent. I'm going to pull up just a quick slideshow here.
And make sure that if I make you host, make sure you just continue to let people in because they're going to still be just checking periodically because they're going to want to keep coming in.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Well, let's see if we can get this up here. All right. Is that full screen? Yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, first of all, Adria, for being such a great human and continuing to bring people together that love this planet and love people that live here and the animals that live here and everyone. So been a life-changing experience knowing you and being a part of the Vine community. I am the co-founder of the Spero Project. We're a local NGO here in Oklahoma in the United States. We have about 105 team members serving roughly 2,500 people a year on a weekly basis. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but I wanted to mention my journey of how I got started in refugee advocacy. Can you guys see the screen okay?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So back when I was in college, this is 30 years ago now, this is where everything changed for me. I joined the efforts during the Kosovo conflict in 1999 to meet with and serve in a refugee camp in Albania. And ever since then, meeting wonderful people that were not different than myself, I was changed forever by the wonder of welcome and the hospitality that I received, and met friends there that really changed my life. And so that's been the kind of the trajectory. I've always been aware of conflicts and displaced people. And even today, the resettled community coming into Oklahoma City has been a transformational part of my life. They're my mentors, they're my heroes, they're my neighbors. And we seek to, at the Spero Project, have a restorative community. So yes, we are an agency, but we're also a community of people from all over the world. I want to just talk briefly about the refugee journey and how people, what happens to people and where they go, and then our role as a Spero Project. So these numbers have actually increased with Sudan, Syria, Palestine. There's about 110 million people worldwide that have been displaced, forcibly displaced by war, conflict, violence, that cannot return to their homes. Some of these countries and neighbors that are specifically in Oklahoma City are Afghanistan, Burma, Congo, Iraq, Sudan, South Sudan, Syria, Turkey, Russia, people from Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba, Haiti. And most of them are actually, half of them are children. So these are families that have been displaced, not just singles. When someone is displaced, they have to cross a border in order to be considered refugees by the UNHCR. Most people end up in temporary camps, like we've probably all seen. These are supposed to be temporary by international law. You're not only supposed to live there 5 years before you're repatriated or resettled. But actually, the average stay in a refugee camp is 26 years, which I thought was kind of an exaggeration. But actually, I know people that have been in refugee camps for 26 years. And we also have a project in Kakuma refugee camp in Northwest Kenya. And many, many people that have been there 20 years. So it is a very frustrating experience to just live in limbo and be stateless, just waiting for something to happen. You have to raise your children, you have to eat, you have to go to school, you have to, take care of your family. And it's very frustrating to be in that state. Less than 1% of all displaced people get a chance to be resettled to a third-party country. Approximately right now, there are about 24 countries in the world that receive refugees, United States being the largest. So let's talk about the
Oh,
resettlement.
hey, Brad, I think it's not, the slides are not showing, they're not clicking forward.
Mm.
We're not seeing the slides
Oh,
for some reason.
okay. Let me work on that a little bit.
Yeah. Some button malfunction going on.
At least you can blame the button. Usually it's just me with the tech. I don't
Totally.
feel-
Okay.
I don't.
Hmm. Interesting. All right, we're gonna,
Do you want to make Brenda the host and then she can do it?
sure.
Brenda, can you do it? She has the presentation, right?
Yeah, let me try.
Okay, thanks. Brenda's good at pressing buttons.
Trying to get over here.
Or you could just ramble on until she's done, Brad.
Yeah, okay.
That's fine.
So resettlement. This is where people are resettled in Oklahoma City. We welcome people and have been since the Vietnam conflict in the late 70s, early 80s. So we're very honored to be able to receive people. Let's talk a little bit about the work of Spero. We'll kind of blaze through this here. This is our 2024 review, where we engaged about 2,700 neighbors, served in a variety of programs. I think education was first, huh? Oh, I'm so sorry about this. Let's see.
It doesn't matter, Brad. We just want to actually hear the stories anyway.
Yeah,
And, like,
right on.
maybe you could just
So,
tell
yeah,
us.
we'll skip that. So, yeah,
Yeah.
the Spero Project is what we do. And let me introduce you our special guest. This is Zainab Khan. She is one of our team members at Spero, and she is another hero of mine. You're so amazing,
Thank you.
so awesome. Zainab is a mother of three. She has 6 siblings, 5 of whom are also her sisters. So when I met Zainab, I was just so impressed with her vision, her activities that she was doing on behalf of Afghan women. And so I said, wow, I have to meet your father, because behind every empowered Afghan woman is a loving father and loving husband if she's married. And so Zainab comes from a long line. Her family are also advocates, and they ran a safe house for trafficked girls growing up. And these are just girls who had been sold, and they discovered that through her father's business one day. He just found a girl who was there, and then they just welcomed girls into your house and did that. So that's where her advocacy comes from. And she's going to talk a little bit about her story and her work now in education in Afghanistan.
Thank you so much, Brad. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to share my story. I'm a little, to be very honest, I'm a little nervous. I will be reading from my paper, so if I sound like a robot, just pretend I don't. But this story is very important to me, so here it goes. When I close my eyes, I remember the past. The first memory that comes to my mind is running behind a barefoot woman who was crossing the roads of Kabul as rockets were hitting homes alongside the road. She carried the body of a 5-year-old boy laying in her arms, injured and lifeless. He was my brother. This is a flashback from 24 years ago in Afghanistan for a mother named Hafiza, who's also my mother. I can still hear her screaming for help, for any medical assistant. I was chasing after her, terrified of getting lost, while bombs exploded around us and destroyed homes one by one. That day, we lost my brother Murtaza. And after burying him in the same day, we were forced to flee the country in a hurry. My parents, broken with grief, carried the unbearable weight of losing a child and left everything we had known behind. We crossed the border into Pakistan in hopes of safety, but starting over in a new foreign land was anything but easy. In Pakistan, my parents, their sadness seemed endless. All I remember, my mother sitting in a corner of a room, almost paralyzed and numb. Grief had turned her into a shell of herself. I took on the role of taking care of my two younger sisters while I was mere 7-year-old. We struggled to make a home here. In 2001, something shifted. The Taliban were mostly driven out of Afghanistan, and my family was able to return. I had always believed in the power of education, especially for girls, and with new hope, I pursued my studies. I worked hard knowing that for so many Afghan girls, education was a distant dream. I believed through knowledge I could shape a better future, not just for myself, but for others like me. During this time, our family did a lot of healing and a sort of fresh start at life. I was heavily focused on school and just received word that I got accepted to med school. This was a huge accomplishment, as amongst thousands of students, I was ranked with top grades and chosen. In a turn of fate, I had just started being courted by a young man who was persistent in his effort to win my hand in marriage. He was charming, handsome, and very well-mannered. The only issue was that he was living in the United States. To accept his proposal meant I would again find myself away from all that was known to me. Putting my trust in God, I got married and moved to the United States, a new country, a new set of challenges. I didn't speak the language and I didn't understand the culture. And my education was not recognized here. Once again, I had to start over, leaving behind everything I had built. But I found ways to cook. I recreated home through foods that I cook, using the same recipes my mother had taught me, filling my kitchen with the same smells and tastes of my childhood. This was my way of holding on to something familiar in the world that felt foreign. With the 12 years, life gave me 3 beautiful children and lots of wonderful memory. I visited Afghanistan often and my family was thriving. While I had thought the worst was behind us, then all of a sudden came the news that I never thought would repeat itself. The Taliban had taken over Afghanistan once again. Memories of losing my brother, fearing for my family's life, came rushing back. This time, my 3 younger sisters, my brother, and my sister-in-law, their life were at risk. It felt like history was repeating itself and I was powerless to stop it. But I couldn't sit back and watch. With the help of friends, we managed to get my family to Kigali, Rwanda. For 3 years, they struggled as refugees displaced far from home. When I heard the ongoing news that girls were being banned from school, I knew the sadness and difficulty was not unique to my family, and I decided to think of ways to help Afghan girls in Afghanistan. I ended up opening a small school that initially taught sewing and computer classes to help empower young women to create their own businesses, even if it runs from the safety of their own home. My school has been open for over 2 years now, and we have been blessed to expand and grow to over 600 students. We offer several courses and have become a place of refuge when women of all ages seek mental health and support. During this time, I also started working at an amazing organization called the Spero Project. As you all have heard by now, they're nothing short of awesome. They have been a place of belonging and warmth. The Spero Project is centered around humanity and supporting those with diverse backgrounds. As a neighbor advocate, my goal is to make newly immigrated members of our community feel welcomed and support them in all walks of life. At Spero, I have learned that community starts from within. Our team is a diverse group of talented and loving individuals who have all fascinating stories and genuinely care about humanity. For me, waking up and in the morning and going to work doesn't feel like work. It feels like I'm pushing forward with my purpose in life and determination to help those who are vulnerable or in need. It's about empowering others. With prayers of God and miracles, my family received news that their case was approved and to emigrate in the United States. And within the past summer, they were finally arrived in Oklahoma City, their new home. When I go to my parents' home today, I get chills. It feels like after so many years of uncertainty, we're finally together again. And that's when I realized the Taliban may have taken over my country, but they can't take over my home. Home isn't a place. Home is where my family is. It's where the meals we share with each other. It's my mother's laugh, my father's hug. And if we're together, we have a home. Living in Oklahoma has deepened this connection. Here, people know what it means to lose a home. Tornadoes come and tear down everything apart, but Oklahomans rebuild. They pick up the pieces and they start again. I feel the same spirit in myself and in my family. I have seen the strength of women who rebuild their lives from nothing, and this fuels my work into advocacy. At Spero, I get to turn my passion into action, helping others to find hope, belonging, and a chance to rebuild their future with dignity. Supporting women of Afghanistan through education gives me hope for a brighter future. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
guys
you.
for listening.
I think we figured out the slides. What slide number do you want, Brad?
Oh, that's the last slide.
Okay,
Yeah,
beautiful. That's your family?
Yes, that's my family.
Wow. So Brad and I did we did some private events together where we brought families that came together and learned stories from refugees. And there was never a dry eye in the room. And I don't know if you know this, Brad, but like one of the gentlemen that like attended was like he was pretty well off guy, but he was like suicidal. Did you know this story? He was
no,
very depressed. And then when he heard the story about like Eric, it like shifted him. He ran up to me in the parking lot and thanked me. Because like it's kind of what you said, you know, that they're the greatest leaders that we haven't heard of, but like the strongest leaders because they lead with resilience by example.
definitely.
Yeah. Um, would you like to share a little bit about some of the work that you're doing at the Sparrow right now? I know you guys just got a big grant, which I'm really proud of you for. Maybe you could share a little
Yes,
bit about what you're doing with that.
yes. Well, we work in kind of all the foundational pieces to be able to start a new life. Focusing really on education and building the foundations of language. We do several levels of English classes, sewing classes. We also do heritage language class for our Afghan neighbors. In particular, many people are illiterate in their own language. So what the research shows is that if you can learn your own language, become literate in your own language, it bridges you to a second language. And then there are also kids that came here when they were really young and they don't speak their heritage language again. So we have people educating first generation and second generation kids who came here and want to reconnect with their past and their heritage. We do driver's ed, we do citizenship, financial literacy, and so many more things. We focus heavily on health, mental health. We do medical system navigation, pre and postnatal care for women. We do employment, lots of employment opportunities, building relationships with manufacturers and getting large amounts of people hired on. Also, we offer immigration legal services. That's critical, obviously, for people's status to be adjusted to asylum seeker or find a pathway to citizenship through their green card or asylum application. So that's a critical part. Student support is also really, really important of advocating for students who are in school, connecting schools to parents and making sure everybody's cooperating together. It's very, very important. And parents really need that. and they want to be involved in their kids' education. Youth mentoring is a huge one, and that's one I've always been involved with. I'm here today because of a youth mentoring program. I mean, I should be dead or in prison. I mean, simple as that. So it's really very important to me. So lots of student activities after school, youth mentoring. We're about to start a soccer league. I've got a friend that lives in Spain who's got connections to Premier League. So we're going to start a soccer academy, God willing, here in the next year. And so we're really trying to create pathways for people to create their own futures and
Calls
really,
for you for that, Brad.
what's
If
that?
you want, we can make some introductions. Would you like some celebrity athletes and stuff like that to help endorse?
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd
Okay,
be great.
it can help with that.
That'd
I
be
actually
awesome.
have someone in mind. I'll connect with you offline. If you guys have any referrals or any ideas or suggestions for any of these folks, please feel free to reach out. The more people they know, the better they can help. So,
Definitely. Thank you so much.
yeah. So we're coming close to the it's 8:30 Dubai time, whatever. I don't know what the rest of you guys are in the world, but so I just want to see if there's any questions, because then I want to go on to Freshta, because then it'll be her half of the hour. Does anybody have any questions before we move on to the next half of the hour? Thoughts, comments?
Asia?
Yes.
Hi,
Go ahead.
thank you. I just want to thank both of you for what you're doing. Adria, thanks for bringing us all together since day one, and Brad for, almost 4 years now, all the good work you're doing. And it's so refreshing to hear Zanib's story and how powerful and resilient she is. It's helpful for us who are in this space to keep hearing these stories, because it keeps you going, it keeps you motivated. And Brad, thanks for always answering my calls, no matter how far and few between. So Adria, thanks for bringing us all together.
Can you tell the Vine what happened? Because they don't have any context about what happened. How you met.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Sorry, everyone. My name is Karen. I'm based in Los Angeles and also in DC. I help run a group called Operation Snow Leopard, which does Afghanistan work. A group of over a couple hundred US military veterans, military families got together in the summer of 2020 and decided that this was a moral injury of pulling out. And for me personally, I didn't want 19 million women and girls to lose their voices. I'm a former Army officer. I have a lot of friends in this space, and I work in entertainment. So we formed a group and helped quite a few people get out. And Brad has been a leader in helping, in me looking at his work to see, even from afar, to see how best practices are integration. Our group focused on pretty much an underground railroad and moving people out legally and safely to different countries, and remain focused on that through this time. I met Brad because everybody here meets through Adria, the amazing Adria, who I am so grateful for, because when you see other groups doing this, you can learn best practices and you can take heart from this, and including, just, on a separate note, have you ever heard of The Moth on NPR? They do training with my fellow veterans, because I run a nonprofit helping veterans get jobs at all the studios. I do that as a volunteer as well. And we work with The Moth for veterans to learn how to tell their stories. Well, now I work with The Moth for refugees to learn how to tell their stories. And so as they come here, so we just did a pilot run on that last year, and we're getting ready to do another. So I'll keep everybody informed on that. But I don't want to take away from much more. I just wanted to give
No,
the
this is
specific
amazing.
question.
And
I just want to let
maybe
you know that you're bringing all these different groups together, and we all can learn from each other, and I can improve, because the last thing I want to do is reinvent the wheel. Well, I don't know. When I drive my brothers crazy or my husband crazy, I enjoy reinventing the wheel. But for my work, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. So thank you for letting me share. And Brad, thank you again for your leadership, and thank you, Zanab, for yours as well. And looking forward to hearing from Freshta.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Karen.
You, Karen.
Hi,
My
Freshta.
pleasure.
How are you doing? Freshta's she seems quiet, but she's a powerhouse. Don't let her deceive you. So I just want to keep it casual with you today. I'm going to do a Q&A, but I'd like to just start off. Could you go back in time talk a little bit about your childhood and maybe how you got to be interested in mountaineering to begin with. We can't hear you though. You gotta turn your
Yeah.
mute off.
Can you hear
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for being here today. My name is Freshta Ibrahimi. I'm an Afghan mountaineer. I live in the UK, as Adria nicely introduced me. I live in the UK as a refugee last 5 years, and currently I'm in a very big up and down journey, attempting to climb Mount Everest, and also work with a community garden with refugees. Just we've been talking about refugees and supporting them. That's where also another my passion is, to supporting people like myself, the community I belong to. Refugees, whatever the government call and put you in the box. So yeah, my mountaineering experiences started in Afghanistan. I started in 2015 working initially with a charity called Ascend. And then I myself became interested in not just organizing day-to-day work and being a bridge between the Afghan girls and the local, and try to work out the logistics, helping lead expedition 1 week or more in different areas in Afghanistan. I myself just became interested in the mountains and the nature and the wildlife in Afghanistan. That how fascinating it was, and the beauty that rarely I at that time saw. The stories started from my family, that they raised and were born in the mountains, that they left, how they lived their life in the mountains, walking distances to bring water. That's the stories I heard about the mountains. But I grew up mainly in Kabul, and it is surrounded by mountains, but it's not the mountain that I then fell in love, and the wildness and difficulty and toughness as a woman to, getting it, how to get there logistically, is it safe or not? And mountains, especially when it comes to Afghanistan, a country with such a long history of war, mountains always been used as a shelter and place for even a fight. And for my personal story and how my family gradually getting used to this part of my life, that Freshta is going to the mountains, that is not safe, and we are scared of her and what will happen to her if there are conservative groups that will stop them, and are the local people happy or not about this? And that was where my job was coming in, to go and talk with the local community, with the the lead of the community, with the governors of the provinces that we were climbing.
Hey, Freshta, just to give the audience some context about the background, it wasn't legal for women to mountain climb, correct? So
I would say it was not common.
yeah.
Yeah, we were not stopped climbing mountains because it was illegal. It was uncommon, and because you were a woman, it wasn't for you. So, and that was mountaineering and the big backpacks we had, and being a woman, that our team and our style give an excuse to somebody come and say mountaineering is not for you. And myself had the first-hand experience when I in 2018 we were climbing to we hiked up to Afghanistan highest peak base camp. The police officer, he was wanting to stop us because of excuse of some paperwork, but his main idea was like, "Oh, you are a woman. You don't belong to the mountains. Why you're here? And it's not safe for you." And even though we brought the paperwork. We brought thousands of paperwork to just allow us to go, but they would find any excuse, and the conversation goes back and forth, and then it goes to your gender, that you're a woman. You bring, as you know, you can bring the strongest letter, but to my definition, you're a woman and you don't belong to the mountains.
So you actually led a group of women as well, right? Like,
Yes, I led. Yeah,
yeah.
I facilitated to lead. I led a group, multiple expeditions, mainly smaller. In big expedition, I was co-managing it, but trips for one night or 2 nights, I was mainly leading it, logistically and financially, and yeah, looking at a much bigger scape. Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of like, what's the feedback that you got from the other women, and also like that you've experienced that, because like obviously there's some PTSD, there's trauma that occurs when you go through serious situations like what you guys have endured. Have you found that mountaineering has been healing for you? And what was the feedback from the other women?
Absolutely. For me personally, it was the anchor of my um, strength. That's how I would define mountains. The more I went there, the more I wanted to be back. And the living in the city and myself also narrowly escaped a terrorist attack, which after that I really couldn't bear to be in the city.
Can you give
Being
us some context on like what happened?
in the city, being in for example, in an academic environment, you seems it to be safe, but when the academic place that you're studying being attacked, I was studying at American University when it was attacked in 2016, and after that, I just wanted to be out either. And for me, that was the mountain. The definition was the mountain. That's where I want to be. And every time I went to the mountains, I realized the higher I go, I was feeling safer. And I just wanted to have the right equipment, have enough food to be as high as I can. And I would say I had the most beautiful and rawest experience there, which yeah, it's memory that it is home, it's in your heart. And I guess that the connection with the mountain, and now being in the UK, I feel like that can link me back to mountains in Afghanistan. The smell, the walkings and seeing sheep around the hills. It's it is connection of home, and the roads here, they don't look like where I grew up. It's the houses doesn't look, the weather doesn't look like that. It's rainy. It is sometimes so miserable, especially now that I live in Manchester. But when you go out in the woodland, for example, or you go to the next to the river or mountains, is home. And I would say it not only helped me to at that time to overcome or recharge myself to be ready, come back to city and continue the life that I have to. But also it helped me to grow this passion, wanting to do and learn more skills. And that's what defines me now, that I am after. And I might get tired, but it tastes good. It also helped me to be curious and wanting to know more about UK places, not just the city. I would say it also helps me with the isolation in a new country and settling and learning the new culture.
100%. I don't want to hog you from the audience, but I would like to talk a little bit about your mental and physical routine. because you're preparing to climb Mount Everest, right? This is no joke. So we want to support you, but we want to see you live to be to the top of it and not turn into a snow cone. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're working on and what do you do to keep yourself, like, to get prepared for it?
Yeah, at the present, it's the best training I can do is to be in the mountain, in the high altitude as much as I can, but that's the ideal situation. But based on trainings, the endurance trainings, as much as I can help. Swimming with as much as swimming to train the lungs to maintain with the less oxygen. That's what being recommended from the people who have climbed Everest. I learned cycling here, and I've been doing long distance cycling before the weather gets very cold. I cycle for 2 days and climb the highest peak in England, Scafell Pike, it's called. And to practice my altitude, end of 2023, I climbed 6,000 meters. It was my second 1,000 meters that I climbed in Nepal and hiked up to Everest Base Camp. At the moment, lots of both endurance training, a lot of weight carrying with the backpacks, going for long hikes. I guess one of the reasons that I moved up to Manchester was being closer to the hills. It's not called mountains, but it is some uphill. It is, it helps me to train and mentally, I think having people that knows me and knows the journey, it's really helpful to be able to talk to them. And I'm excited and I'm nervous as well because it is not only a physical and mentally demanding expedition. It is you're going to be there for 6 weeks, just in a very, I would say, a discomfortable place, but you know how luxury is always being updated up on Everest, but it depends on how much you pay, what you get. And without money, this kind of expedition cannot happen. I am this is a very, very important part of me right now to how I'm maintaining my training, is also maintaining my training, knowing that I also need the financial support and being under a deadline that my operation team need to know by.
Yeah. So guys, the Vine is helping her to raise funds for this initiative. So I'm going to record this session and love for you to share it on your socials. I'll send you clips. Anybody that's involved, they can make a donation to the Vine Foundation directly. I give 100% to her to get her what she needs. She also has a charity in the UK, or Brad also can donate to Brad. Brad will help her, and he's also helping thousands of other refugees all around the world. So, Brad, can you talk to us a little bit too about what your needs are right now and how we can support? I think you're muted. Can't hear you.
Okay, yes, of course. Spero Project is a private-public partnership. In order to get these grants that we got a few years ago, we were able to scale up all of our activities. These are not new activities. We've been doing these for 17 years. So with these government funds, we were able to scale up and meet the need for large communities coming in from Afghanistan, from Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, and some other things. But with the new administration coming in, those funds are going to be slashed. We predict, so we're having a shortfall financially. So everyone on our team is essential, and so in order to continue to support people that have come, they're all documented. They've come the legal way, as some people put it, and but they're already here, but they still need a lot of support. And so, although there are not newcomers being welcomed to the country at the moment, all the people that we welcomed in the last few years are still here and they're still making adjustments and still need that on the ground support. So financial support, by all means. Other opportunities, I think with Zainab, is if you want to get involved in the school, advocating for this school. If you want to
In
donate,
sports,
I'm sorry,
in sports.
in sports,
soccer,
yes, in
yeah.
soccer program. Anyone who could help me with that, that's going to be a startup cost as well. But let me tell you, we've got so much talent, and with that pathway there, we'd be glad to partner with anybody. So come volunteer with us virtually. Come fly into Oklahoma City. We'll take you around some great restaurants. Take you to some people's houses to be able to eat. We'll take you to Zainab's house.
Yes,
But yeah,
absolutely.
any way that we can empower and enable Zainab to continue what she's doing, by all means, we want to always highlight people who have lived experience and who are going places. And so, yeah, that's how you can support Spero.
Great. Okay, I want to
Coach-
give the floor to everybody else in case I don't hog you guys to myself. Does anybody on the call have questions, comments, ideas, or thoughts? Anything about the refugee journey they want to share? Feel free to chime in. Is everyone shy?
This is Yvonne. I have some music in the background. I hope it's not too loud.
Hey, Yvonne.
I'm off
Yvonne.
camera. I love everyone here. So I was wondering on the if anybody's reached out to the Explorers Club for the hiking program. You're on mute now. I'm sorry, I don't hear you.
I said Marcelo is the head of the Explorers Club for Switzerland. He's on the call.
Yeah, maybe Marcelo, and then there was someone at in Davos, and also I have some relationships here in New York with the Explorers Club, and I think this is something. And if Marcelo could give an insight, this is something that probably the Explorer Club members would probably get very excited about.
I agree.
But correct
Maybe
me.
Freshta could do a talk for them.
Well, I just
Receive
jump in.
membership.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead, Marcelo. Go ahead.
I'm in a quite noisy place, but basically I sent you a message out there in the chat to have it fresh now. I think that the best person for her to connect with will be Jacopa Sherpa, because she's this total legend from Nepal who summited Everest, I think 7 or 8 times, just ridiculous. She's by far the world record holder. I know her personally from the annual dinner called ICAD, and I think she'll be a fantastic mentor, right? And having someone like Jacopa with her own Netflix documentary already out, I think it was last year, will give Fresh a lot of credibility. So I'll start with that. I'm happy to promote to the Bhutanese chapter. So maybe they'll be connected in the Himalayas in ways that we cannot see in Europe or in US. And another name will be Karina Oliani, who's an extreme medicine doctor from Brazil. And I screened 2 of her movies during the Exploration Film Festival in Davos last November. One was about summiting the K2, but she actually summited the Everest twice from the south and the north face. I was actually joking her, saying that she forgot something on the top one and I had to go back to pick it up. But no, she actually wanted to prove that she could do both. So these are the 2 names. Karina is a dear friend. I know Yakpa, and I think that they're going to add a lot of credibility and there's going to accelerate further connections.
Thanks, Marcelo. That's incredible. So, hopefully you wrote all that
Can
down.
I just
Freshta.
give a little bit of information here that I am already connected with the Explorer Club in New York, and they actually gave me 2 years membership. And in 2024, I've been they published in one of their magazines. They published my story. But when we talk about the support for Everest, they at the moment they don't support any. They don't have any funds for.
But yeah, actually, maybe in luck
Everest.
because the vice president for grants happens to be in Switzerland, and I saw him 2 days ago because he broke his shoulder. Had to get surgery here in Bern, and he is probably the best person for you to talk with. So he's a VP of research and is responsible for curating the grants. So he will at least be able to tell you where you have the best chances. Right? So happy to introduce you to these three people and anyone else that you may want to have access to.
Thanks, Marcelo.
And it also could be, I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
And it could also be not necessarily the grant. I mean, yes, of course, aim for the grant from the Explorers Club, because I think there's a lot of great things there. But also there's an Explorer Club community that may independently support. And that's just find out how to get that message out. And yeah, it's just called marketing and business development. And also we
100%.
should give kudos to Marcelo, because I think you did like some 1,000-mile hike or some crazy something with no clothes on. You want to share about that?
I'll share. It was basically the Paleolithic pentathlons, my week as a caveman. I did that between Christmas and New Year's. Thanks for mentioning. I'll share the link here. It's basically a biohacking, but without taking any substances, so it's endogenous rather than exogenous. And I'm giving a talk about it to the Geneva Polo Club on Thursday, so we may have more documents to share in the future.
Oh.
He was being modest about it, but okay, he it didn't make any sense, whatever he said, but just click on the link and find out later on.
Totally. Marcelo's a legend.
Yeah.
Abby, you have a question?
I do, and a suggestion. First off, thank you, all of you, for your courage, your bravery, your storytelling, your lived experience, and sharing it with us. Carry on, you're amazing. I'm like tearing up over here in all the ways. I just came back from Sundance, and I feel very strongly that the stories you're sharing here obviously need to be told, but especially for the expeditions and mountaineering, and especially Everest. What came to mind was the North Face. Unfortunately, and hopefully this is Chatham House rules, so nothing leaves the space, but I know that they're in a little bit of a pivot with their marketing, but there are brands like them that I think, or that I know and can tell you, because there was a concurrent brand storytelling summit taking place at the same time. There are brands that want to put their resources towards telling stories just like this and showing exactly how their equipment is supporting journeys like yours, Freshta. So that came immediately to mind. I met a woman who is leading some of that storytelling, but as I shared, they're in a little bit of a pivot, but there are other folks in this brand storytelling world, and I wanted to put that out to the rest of the Vine people on the call, that if you know people at the North Face or REI or some of these other companies that are invested in sharing their brand value proposition and supporting these extraordinary, empowering stories. There was a movie that they released that was released, I believe it's called Trango, at the festival. So there are others that are willing to put up the funds for something like this and might be able to give you a platform to share what you're doing. And similarly for what you're doing with Spero. I think right now is a little bit of a tricky time in the United States, obviously with policy changes, and we're taking it day by day. But I invite you to think about that perspective, like who in the private sector, brands specifically, want to be aligned with the work that you're doing. Maybe it's food companies that will love that taste of home angle. I think there's a lot of big food companies, spice companies. I know McCormick has a considerable foundation that it extends exactly to their main business units. And then this is a way for them to be engaged as corporate citizens and build that global trust and network. So those were some thoughts that I just wanted to plant seeds for. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Abby, so much.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
And I'm happy to share my details if anybody wants to follow up or just have a quick chat about it. But I definitely think we have the network, and Karen, I also would love to connect with you. As many of you may know, next year is the 250th anniversary of the United States, and there's going to be a considerable amount of storytelling projects about what does it mean to be an American and whose stories now comprise the fabric of the American story. As it happens, this is the 400th anniversary of New York City this year, and we're expecting a lot to be unfolding. So if you have a connection to New York, obviously for many years, a gateway to the immigrant experience. So would love to explore if there's some fit or alignment there. Thank you.
That's really interesting.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
totally true and relevant. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Totally.
100% bang on.
There's a
Yeah.
lot happening in 2025. I'll just say this because I know you're very faith informed, Brad. The Catholic Church is celebrating a jubilee this year. It's also, I believe, like the 800th anniversary of St. Thomas Aquinas's passing. So there's a lot of opportunities for us to find these really meaningful through lines and find those who are already invested in putting their dollars, especially their marketing budgets, into positioning who they are and what they stand for at this really critical moment. So maybe there's like a mind meld or mastermind session we can hold with those who know and have successfully pitched, because to your point, I think public sector dollars, grants, organizations relying on USAID and other agencies, they are in a real moment of, I don't want to say crisis, because that could be also opportunity, but certainly things are changing quickly. So there might be opportunities for us to look in different sectors.
Definitely would love to get with you very soon. And we're so localized and in the day-to-day. I think that we've not thought about corporate sponsors, but you're exactly right. I mean, this is the time.
Maybe there's a coalition that my pleasure, Freshta. Maybe there is like a mastermind, Adria, if I may suggest, or invite us to do it independently. Those of us that are reconsidering what does our funding approach look like in this new environment. I think you're set up for a lot of success being a public-private, partnership already. I think you're really ahead of the game there. And I think it's really artful the way you put it, that we are facing shortfalls, but this is also an opportunity to get really creative about inviting new partners to the table.
And
Maybe I just start inviting CEOs to the Vine.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's do it. CMOs, especially.
It's mostly family offices, governments, and non-for-profits. That's been the secret sauce up to this point, but I'm finding a lot of value in bringing creatives into the Vine. So I've been bringing musicians, actors, artists, like that's all new. But yeah, maybe I could create a section for CEOs. Because families don't like sell side. I know I love you
Yes.
guys, but you always complain to me about it. You don't want to be solicited. I get it. I'm on it. But CEOs are different because then they can sponsor the NGOs, and I think that would be quite helpful. So I might think about pivoting a little bit to help more.
Actually,
on
CEOs
inside.
CMOs, Chief Marketing
CMOs.
Officers.
Yes.
Yeah.
CMOs, welcome. Okay, Vrinda, Charan, you guys got
I like
that?
CEO. I like the CEO better.
Get on it.
I think CEOs are actually the ones with cash and they make the final decision. And they're also able to give personally, because a lot of many of them are extremely successful, true CEOs at a certain level. And Blue is here from Save the Children, and be curious to find out how ADI and the government is impacting her as well. So sorry for taking over the conversation, but I thought that was
No, this is
interesting.
interesting. Blue, are you here?
Yeah, hi. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for sharing. And I have to say, when the conversation turned to, the challenges with USAID or, the opportunities and so forth, that's definitely what we're navigating. And so therefore I'm multitasking, but I definitely wanted to be here. Yeah, I would say there's a lot moving on the nonprofit sector side. We so appreciate, being in community, to be able to understand like where the needs are, the conversations that are happening in different communities and how we, right, collectively can come to the table, because I do think this is going to be a collaborative effort where we think, like I heard, think differently, right? Look for opportunities. So I'd love to, contribute where I can. And again, I'll put my information in the chat too, but I definitely wanted to come in and listen. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Blue.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we're coming to the top of the hour now, and I usually conclude after an hour, but all of you guys are amazing, and thank you so much for sharing your stories, Freshta and Team Spero Project. And if you guys want to connect with any of them, please reach out to me, or if there's anybody interesting that you wanted to meet on the call that was chatting like Yvonne or Blue or Marcelo or any of them, feel free, and I will group chat away. So, and thank you, Karen, also for sharing the work that you're doing. And yeah, just very grateful for you. So
And I
anyway, thank you guys.
thank you,
And-
everyone. Take
Thank you,
care.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Freshta, I'm gonna go climb 3 flights of stairs in solidarity. So, I'll think
Sounds
about some
great.
things for you too. All right, take care,
Thank you,
everyone. Have a great
everyone.
day.
Love you
Bye-bye.
guys.
Rainy.
Bye.
Bye.